We turn now to the heated debate over how to boost our economy and provide much-needed relief to millions of Americans impacted by the pandemic. House Democrats have passed a new $3 trillion relief package, but Republican lawmakers are working on their own bill that they hope to cap at just $1 trillion. These are, of course, mind-boggling sums. And so tonight we ask, where does the money come from and what happens when we explode our deficit? ABC's Rebecca Jarvis has this report.
It's the other side of the unprecedented government spending in the face of coronavirus.
Staggering numbers. The U.S. budget deficit setting a new one-month record in June as spending outpaced revenue by more than $864 billion.
Spending to combat the coronavirus and shore up the economy far outpaces the revenue that the government is bringing in.
In just 4 months, the U.S. has shoveled upwards of $3 trillion into the gaping economic hole created by the pandemic.
This is happening at breakneck speed, and it requires a response that is also at breakneck speed.
From those $1,200 stimulus checks to an additional $600 in weekly unemployment benefits to $517 billion in PPP loans for small businesses and $790 billion in federal aid to state and local governments, the airlines, and hospitals, sending our total national debt, already climbing before the crisis, surging to a record $26.5 trillion. That's more than $80,000 for every single person in the U.S.
Is there a point of no return?
So I would say that most economists believe that this isn't the time to consider debt and deficit. We have to contain this virus, and it should take everything we've got.
But all that spending so far still isn't enough. Unemployment, while declining, is at the highest level since the Great Depression, currently above 11%. And many states are still fighting coronavirus outbreaks that threaten to shut down businesses and crush consumer spending, the lifeblood of the U.S. economy. Many in Washington sounding the alarm.
Our objective is to try to get something done before the enhanced unemployment insurance expires. We want to get people back to work, but we know there are certain parts of the economy that still are impacted.
Congress and the White House pushing for another $1 to $3 trillion stimulus package.
And who will be paying this debt? Will it be children?
If interest rates go up and the economy doesn't grow, then the burden on our children and grandchildren will be heavy. But again, that is not inevitable.
With a total national debt now larger than the economy itself, the most critical need for the U.S., say economists, is generating growth.
I do want to also emphasize the other danger, which is prematurely turning back to austerity. So we made that mistake in 2010, 2011, and it took us a full decade to get the economy back to where it was in terms of unemployment prior to the financial crisis.
If we don't take drastic measures now, they worry the toll could be even greater.
I believe that there are bankruptcies that are just building up.
Do you believe this is escapable?
Yes, absolutely. But that action has to be taken now.
As we learned in the Great Recession, it's not just a matter of how much, but where that money goes.
If you go back to 2008, 2009, many of the very policies that were employed in order to get us through that crisis are the very same policies that are being employed now, the difference being the magnitude. Back then it was billions, today it's trillions. Do you believe that policies, for example, the Federal Reserve going out and purchasing debt for private companies, is that the best way to stimulate this economy right now?
I don't think we want to make the perfect the enemy of the good. There are a lot of urgent needs, getting food stamps to people, getting unemployment insurance payments to people. At the same time, things happen that none of us like. We don't like it when mega corporations get PPP loans. We don't like it when the airlines get bailouts, or at least I don't. If we worry about crafting the perfect plan, we end up not meeting the emergency.
Does it incentivize, in your view, bad behavior? For example, you mentioned the airlines. They've made choices with their money like share buyback programs and dividends to their shareholders as opposed to investing heavily in their people.
You're quite right, but the midst of a global pandemic is not the time to deal with that problem.
Going forward, it won't only be the debt we owe, but also the interest on it. Nearly $400 billion this year alone, more than the combined federal budgets of the Commerce, Education, Energy, DHS, HUD, Interior, Justice, and State Departments.
There are, fortunately, many people who are willing to buy U.S. debt and be paid a very low interest rate in order to own it, because the perception is the world is a messy place right now, and the U.S. is a safe space in that messy world. Is there a number that's just too high, that's untenable?
We know higher debt is more dangerous because at some point interest rates can go up, but it's a mistake to focus on a magic number because what the right number is depends on how fast the economy is growing.
Is it not a claim on future growth in some way?
It can be a drag on future growth if we have to pay more taxes in order to service a larger debt. Then those higher taxes prevent us from pursuing other opportunities. But I think at the moment, the imperative has to be getting food on people's tables, keeping viable firms afloat, keeping our healthcare system going, and to worry about higher taxes 10 years from now at the expense of doing what's really imperative in an extraordinary time today would be a mistake.
Our thanks to Rebecca Jarvis.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.